Welcome to the Get Fit Guy's quick and dirty tips to slim down and shape up. My name is Ben Greenfield, and I'm the Get Fit Guy. The Wall Street Journal recently reported that 7 is the new 8, explaining that your body may actually need less sleep than the traditionally recommended 8 hours. But if you're into fitness, exercising, or mental and physical performance, you may want to think again. And in this episode, you're going to find out exactly why. Now, there's an ideal amount of sleep needed for fat loss or muscle gain and for optimizing things like tissue repair, protein synthesis, appetite regulation, and growth hormone release. In a previous Get Fit Guy newsletter, I covered the topic of whether sleep could get you more fit. And you can check out that newsletter over at quickanddirtytips.com. And this episode that you're listening to now is episode number 202. But now it's time to find out more details about why sleep could get you more fit and look at exactly how much sleep you should be getting to efficiently reach health, performance, fitness, or body composition and fat loss goals. Now, until recently, the National Sleep Foundation had established some pretty good guidelines for sleep based on up-to-date research. They found that in most adults, sleeping fewer than 7 hours per night is associated with decreased alertness and increased risk for chronic disease, while sleeping more than 9 hours per night is also associated with a shorter life and higher risk of chronic disease. Unfortunately, it appears that now they may also be jumping on board with these new lower sleep recommendations. The most recent 7 hours per night info reported by the Wall Street Journal and being adopted by many people is based on a position that's actually been growing in popularity since 2002. So this isn't exactly latest breaking research. And it was back then when researchers published this study involving more than 11 million people. In that study, they concluded that people who sleep about 7 hours a night live longer than those who get more or less sleep. And the scientists reported that sleeping longer than 8 hours a night could be associated with health issues like diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular disease, although I must say, it's also possible that these health issues caused the people who they surveyed to sleep longer and not the other way around. But what the journal failed to take into account is the enormous need for sleep in people who are exercising frequently. That's you, right? Beating up their bodies with weight training and running, or engaging in cognitively demanding tasks like, let's say, a stressful 8 to 12 hour workday combined with a busy family life combined with trying to maintain at least a decent looking body. Now, for folks who are engaged in this type of body and brain stress, it may be beneficial to look at a helpful infographic I'm going to link to, and it's called Why Pro Athletes Sleep 12 Hours a Day. I'll link to that in the show notes over at quickanddirtytips.com, but allow me to highlight a few of the quotes from the graphic. Usain Bolt, the fastest sprinter on the planet, says, "Sleep is extremely important to me. I need to rest and recover in order for the training I do to be absorbed by my body." Now, Roger Federer, top professional tennis player, takes this to another level and says, "If I don't sleep 11 to 12 hours a day, it's not right." Steve Nash, one of the world's best basketball point guards, says, "For me, sleeping well could mean the difference between putting up 30 points and living with 15. Jared Shoemaker, a professional triathlete, says, "Sleep is half my training." Now, some of the stats from the infographic are pretty interesting too, including the fact that your maximum bench press drops 20 pounds after 4 days of restricted sleep. With proper sleep, tennis players get a 42% increase in hitting accuracy. Sleep loss means an 11% reduction in time to exhaustion, and perceived exertion increases 17 to 19% after 30 hours of sleep deprivation. In one study, Stanford University basketball players spent several weeks sleeping at least 10 hours a night, compared to their pre-study practice of sleeping 6 to 9 hours a night. And their performance increased significantly, with far faster sprint times and greater shooting accuracy, along with increased physical and mental well-being during both the games and the practice. So maybe by now you're getting the idea that athletes and physically active people, and you are, once again, physically active, right? Well, may need to sleep more. In most cases, hard-charging professional athletes need 10 to 12 hours of sleep per 24-hour day cycle. And the typical Ironman triathlete, hardcore CrossFitter, marathoner, cyclist, or Above average exerciser needs about 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep per 24-hour cycle. In addition, lack of sleep has been shown to not just affect your performance, but also to increase risk for things like appetite cravings and obesity. There's two primary reasons for this increased need for sleep in exercising individuals. Number one, your nervous system and your brain cleans up cellular garbage when you sleep, allowing you to form memories, learn, and come back more cognitively sharp the next day. Number two, your body and muscles repair themselves while you sleep, and this process is enhanced by hormonal releases that occur as you are in your deep sleep phases. So if you want to take a deep dive into the science of how your body repairs itself as you sleep and how important hormones like growth hormones and appetite regulating hormones are regulated when you sleep, then you can check out a 2-part article series that I wrote on insomnia, deeper sleep, and the science of sleep. And again, I'll link to that in the show notes for this episode number 202, over at quickanddirtytips.com. But the bottom line is this: if you're exercising frequently, then I'd encourage you to ignore these new recommendations for 7 hours and instead shoot for 7.5 to 9 hours per night, or at least 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep per 24-hour sleep cycle. For example, I usually sleep about 7.5 to 8 hours at night, but then I take another 20 up to 60-minute nap at some point during the day, usually after lunch or in the afternoon. Now, finally, when it comes to fitness and sleep, the two can complement one another quite nicely, and a good exercise routine can actually help you to sleep better. Now, you can learn all about that in my article, Can You Exercise to Sleep Better? And that's also linked to over in the show notes at quickanddirtytips.com. Now, if you have more questions about how to sleep for fat loss and muscle gain, then join the conversation over at facebook.com/getfitguy. And over at facebook.com/getfitguy, there's always all sorts of interesting conversations going on. And I'm Ben Greenfield, the Get Fit Guy, asking you, what are you waiting for? Go get fit.